Hello lovely people and welcome. Today I am doing a piece for another art challenge. This one is the Silver Beard Challenge organized by the lovely Dena Tollefson, and I'm doing another abstract piece, but I thought I would try to go for something focusing on the silver in her Silver Beard Challenge. And I would go for something that had kind of a wintry vibe. I'm kind of aiming for something that feels reminiscent of icicles. So not very exact, very abstract, but just with that kind of icy, wintry vibe. So I started out with a variety of shades of blue, and laid them on kind of in a random thing and smeared them together a bit. And all my paints in this, except for the white and the silver, have silicone in them. The white and the silver do not. And everything is thinned fairly thin with Floetrol and a little bit of water so that it spreads out and moves easily. And so I put down a bunch of shades of blues and then some white and silver on top, and then I used white as the swipe color and just use this, it's actually a cake decorating tool, to swipe the white across the top of the blue and let the silicone rise up and make these lovely cells and lacing in it. And so here I am working on the swiping. The tool is slightly curved, so I had to play around with which side of the tool I used. Once that was done, I decided to do some more swiping. The tool I'm using here is the little plastic Charlie card. It's the Boston commuter rail and subway pass, actually. I have one a month, so they accumulate, the old ones, and they're actually pretty good for spreading paint. So yeah, that's my MBTA card from a month or two ago. And so I use that to kind of swipe the silver down into the white over the top of the mixed blues. And then after that, I spent a bunch of time just taking the silver paint and using a palette knife kind of on the edge of a palette knife to streak the silver through. And I really like the effect this gives, is pulling the paint in a line through other colors of paint. It does some interesting mixing. You can get some really pretty kinds of effects in other paintings with swirling it around and things like that. It can do some really pretty things. At this point, I used my little kitchen torch to heat up the paint. It helps the silicone rise and to make a little bit more of this kind of cell action through the paint. And then I went back and did a bunch more striping with the silver. So that's really the majority of what I did with this paint, with this piece, is to take the silver, streak it through, and repeating doing that. The silver is a little thicker than the other paints, so it has a tendency to sink down a bit. So it took a little while to get the streaks to stay the way I wanted them and end up the way I wanted them. And of course I went back, and this is using the paint that has flowed over the edges of the canvas to go back and make sure the edges of the canvas were covered and give the silver streaks a little bit of time to settle before I went back and decided what else I needed to do to them. And I did a little bit of moving of the paint. You can kind of see that the thick paint is flowing off the top here, and I wanted to get the little edges of the top more in keeping with how I wanted them. So, and then I just went back and did a bunch more streaking with the silver. So this was a lot of fun to work with. I like kind of the lacing, the white lacing over the blue that the silicone gave me, and then the streaking through the white with the silver, which does make it feel more kind of icicle-like in my opinion. Unfortunately on the video the reflective metallicness of the silver doesn't come through very well. but it's much more shiny in real life. So here's a close-up of it while it's still wet, showing you really how that lacing and the silicone cells look through the white paint. And you can kind of see the silver. It picks up a little more as gray in the camera, but remember that that is a metallic and it is shinier. So there's a little more in person when you see it. That gives it a little added bling. And here it is dry. So it dried pretty much stably the same as it was when it was wet. It didn't change a whole lot during the drying process, which is nice. And you can kind of see the more of the reflectiveness of the silver. And I played around a little bit with what orientation. I think in the end I like it in the original orientation, but it was kind of interesting to flip the canvas and just see what that felt like. Always an interesting game to play when you're doing abstracts. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for coming and watching my video. Please give it a thumbs up if you like it, subscribe to my channel, and take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and shout out, special thank you to Dena Tollefson for being the inspiration for doing this. I really like these little art challenges. They make it fun. They're fun to play with. And so take care of yourselves and be well. Thank you so much.